Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Man Endless. During the last part, I shut off time mode and got a record of 74 screens. So now in this part, I'll be showing off boss mode, and seeing how far I can survive. What makes boss mode unique from classic mode and time mode is that, in this mode, you basically fight boss after boss, seeing how far you can survive. It's basically like the endless boss attack mode from Mega Man Unlimited. So first off, we'll be fighting Quickman. Hopefully I can do this a little bit better. Apparently I'm quickly failing. I'm only doing this mainly because Quickman is really weak against the Buster Pellets. He takes twice as much damage, otherwise I'd be using his weakness, the Centaur Flash. Now in some ways this mode is more difficult than the classic mode and time mode, mainly because you do not recharge your weapon energy after fighting these bosses. The only things you get are the life pickups as power. So I strongly suggest conserving your weapon energy over here for the bosses that really need it, and relying on your Mega Buster before going after the foes, only using your special weapons when you're close to death. Of course, for certain bosses, this isn't really the easiest. Like, for example, Metal Man. When he switches direction, I'll just... oh, never mind, I'll just use the Magnet Missile. Thankfully, all projectiles despawn after killing the boss. But here you really want to conserve your weapon energy. But for the sake of showing off boss mode, for this first run, well, I'll probably be using weapon energy a lot more than I would usually do. And because there are two bosses I haven't really shown off in my classic or timed run modes. Those are not Robot Master fights, they're actually Fortress boss battles, or remixes of them, and I wasn't able to show them mainly because I kept dying too early. You have to go fight about 7 or 8 bosses, or I think at least 6 of them so you can see them. You usually fight them at the end of your laps, so around 300 screens or so. And of course I never really reached over 200 screens, so I'll probably never see them in main mode. But this is a nice way of seeing these unique bosses without having to defeat or go through 300 screens. And that way it's a lot easier. And I actually strongly suggest before going for your 300 plus screen runs on classic mode, do several ones of boss mode so you get used to the boss patterns, so you don't get an unfun surprise or unhappy surprise near the end where you have to fight the unique Robot Master fights or unique bosses. At least some of the bosses are better torn apart by their weaknesses than others. Like Quickman requires most of the Centaur Flash energy, so I really want to conserve it for something else. Oh, Shadow Man. Okay, this is his unique attack, where he'll teleport around the region and he'll eventually create that cloud. Oh boy, this was not the best idea. Yeah, he'll wait around and teleport, and then when he shows up, he'll fire those shurikens of his. Well, this went a lot better than my previous runs of Shadow Man. As you saw, I had to use the Hyper Bomb only 2 times, so that's nice. But this is the mode I strongly suggest you practice the boss fights at before you go on your long classic mode runs, so that you can reliably defeat the bosses while just using Buster only. Even then, there are certain boss fights which I wouldn't recommend you doing Buster only, like for example Cutman, whose strategy I still don't know how you're supposed to get used to it. It's the same fight as Super Danny, but as you know from my Let's Play, I had so many problems trying to get the Quickman fight completed using Buster only, that I decided to just give up and use his weakness. Even then I had a tough time. I mean, it's quite a change. Back in Mega Man 1, he was one of the weakest bosses, because you could stun lock him and do 2 points of damage per Buster hit, but now he's one of the toughest. Oh boy, Snake Man. I still can't get his pattern down, so I'm just going to use his weakness, the ring boomerang. There we go. Well, I think his pattern is the same as in Mega Man 3, but when I played that game, I basically just used his weakness instead of finding him normally with the Mega Buster. I should get used to his pattern because he is one of the most pattern-based bosses. It's not like Fireman or Electman. Like we have here, let's see if how well I can do. Oh boy. His weakness is, of course, the Leaf Shield. Of course. There's no way I'm going to defeat him that easily. At least he follows a set pattern where, after walking around for a while, he'll fire his extremely damaging Elect Beam, taken directly from Mega Man 1, and then he'll rinse and repeat. You can actually guide him. You should actually be able to jump over him, either using the boost jump or your normal jump, but you have to be a bit careful so he doesn't. You don't jump at the same time when he jumps, when he'll fire the Elect Beam. Of course, you can also learn to fire that Elect Beam by jumping and then slide under it, which you didn't have that luxury back in Mega Man 1. Okay, who we have here? Sparkman. Let's see how well I can fight Sparkman with just using a Mega Buster. As long as I can keep him moving away from me, I should be fine. Sparkman is one of the easier bosses to perfect run, especially because of his more predictable pattern. Ow. That was my fault, of course, because I didn't jump at the correct time. But Sparkman is one of the easier bosses to understand his pattern. And he's completely destroyed by his weakness, the Leaf Boomerang. Same with Electman, thankfully. The other boss whose pattern you can get used to is Iceman. He fights exactly the same way in Mega Man 1, but with the ability to slide, it makes it a lot easier. Specifically when he fires all these ice slashers. Ow. Of course, if you don't get the pattern right, bad things happen. You still need to time your jumps. Of course, I'm failing completely at that. Oh. Wow, okay, I double killed him. Well, let's try again, shall we? The way that their score is calculated is based off the screen count, just like in Classic mode. So no difference there. Okay, we're fighting Quick Man once again. Well, that was okay. Yeah, I didn't do that well this time. Let's try again, shall we? At least for boss mode, you can continuously practice the bosses, which I strongly suggest for long-form classic and time mode runs, and especially for the perfect run mode. Perfect run because, well, you don't have any weapon energy and you have only one health point, so you better get used to battling the Road Masters using no weapon energy. Still annoying to fight a Shadow Man. But at least I'm getting his pattern down better. It's not like some of the other boss fights, like Electman where it's a very rapid fight, and Snake Man where it's more difficult. Of course, Fireman is the most difficult boss personally because I still can't figure out what his pattern is supposed to be. Okay, Sparkman. In some ways, Sparkman is a breeder boss. Because he'll only jump at max at 4 times, so you can at least get used to it. There we go. That was a bit clumsy on my part, but hey, I got it. I'll be showing off the boss mode until I get to show off the last 2 new bosses. And in order to do that, I think I'll use the Roadmaster weaknesses more, so you don't have to see me keep fighting these bosses over and over. Whew. That was a little bit closer for comfort there. Too close for comfort. Iceman isn't too bad, but his ice slashes deal a ton of damage. And Talkman is very pattern based, so much so that he isn't too much of a problem to deal with at all. You can hit him 3 times per cycle, if you're good enough. Or up to 4 if you slide in the correct direction. See, I was able to hit him 4 times that cycle. I'm just going to use the super slide now. Of course, this is more my incompetence. More so than anything else. And of course, the charge kick completely decimates him. Uses it when he's getting ready to rev up around the room. But Topman and Sparkman are the easiest to get their patterns down. Just make sure to memorize what they're doing so you don't make a fool out of yourself like I'm doing. Oh, Cutman is one of the hardest, similar with Fireman in terms of difficulty of how much effort it takes for me to understand what the boss is doing. I still can't nail what Cutman's pattern is supposed to be. And especially with the destruction of those blocks, it's a lot harder to deal with Cutman now. I mean, with the introduction of those 2 blocks being solid now. Fireman, oh goodness. His weakness is the magnet missile, I think. But there's no way I'm going to fight him normally because I don't know what his pattern is supposed to be. And I don't know when he's going to drop that fireball. I always think it's going to be at the point where I'm just at below, but it's one of the hardest bosses to fight as a new player. That's for sure. And that's one of the reasons why I strongly suggest practicing here, especially for perfect mode or long form normal runs. One more hit should do it. But it feels so satisfying once you get used enough in order to perfect run the bosses. Well, right now I'm just gonna go run through the bosses, and until I get back to a point where I find a new boss, I'll be silent. Alright, we have a new boss, Crashman. I'm surprised we didn't actually see him earlier. Well, I suppose the random number generator was a little bit kinder. I'm just gonna use the charge kick. I don't want to deal with Crashman right now. Normally, at least. Well, I think I'll use Mega... Yeah, that's the problem with Crashman. If you don't lock him into a pattern, it can get very challenging to defeat him. The same problem I had back in Super Danny Powered Up. I still don't know how I defeated him back there without charge shots. It's not like Mega Man 2 where you can lock him into a pattern. Okay, with the main 12 bosses defeated, we'll go to the fortress bosses, where we have more unique things. You'll instantly recognize it from this unique background, the more colorful, flashy background. And so, we have the Mega Man clones from Mega Man 3. I don't know what their weakness is, so I need to check. Of course, it's the top one. Okay, it's this one. Let's see. I don't know if that's their weakness. Nope. Okay, it's Ring Boomerang then. Okay, fitting, because... kind of fitting that their weakness is Ring Boomerang, considering how it can pierce through the walls and fire diagonally. It's basically the same strategy as you would back in Mega Man 3, so if you're used to that, you should be fine. And this is one of the situations where overuse of the special weapons is going to be a problem, because now I have to fight Bubble Man without his weakness. It's going to be a little bit scary. As you noticed, because even when I played Mega Man 2, I had a very tough time understanding what Bubble Man's pattern was. Well, that's about it of showing boss mode. There is one other boss that is possible in this stage, or mode, and that is a variant of the Yellow Devil. I don't know if I'll be able to show it off in this part. I'll need to survive longer in boss mode, but I don't think that'll be the case, especially with Crashman, Fireman, Elecman, and Iceman to some regards. Oh, and don't forget Quickman. Cutman. The rest of the bosses are relatively fine and understandable, but with those 5 bosses, those are my main roadblocks. Especially Fireman and Cutman, because I still can't get their patterns down. The other ones I can roughly get them, like Iceman and Crashman, as long as you're attentive, but Fireman and Cutman, I still can't crack what their pattern is supposed to be. As usual, I'll be submitting my screens online, and let's see how well I do. Pretty poorly, actually. I'm in 52nd place. So, I won't be showing off the scoreboard, mainly because I'm so far behind. But there are a lot of people who scored around the same score as 40, and the next one 43, 46. To be fair, in this mode, your only score can be in increments of 3. Many props go to Tien Wo Deal for getting the 142 screens done. Many props to them. So this was boss mode. In the next part, I'll be showing off perfect mode, as well as giving my final thoughts on Mega Man Endless as a whole. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Toodles!